Sure. All right, so
Right.
we're gonna
So
get ready
now,
for our
yeah, now we
next
got one of the
match.
new teams with 12 Ducks. I believe their first go of it was last week, if I recall
Yep,
correctly.
last week was their
This is
first week.
yeah, and 2OP. They've been surprisingly consistent, all things considered. I think there was a little bit of doubt originally, but they had a fair bit of success with Seabell. I think was their one of their old main
Right.
guys in the first 2 weeks, and then they swapped him out in the third, and now they're bringing in somebody else as well. Skyman is a
Yeah,
new
I do believe
player.
Skyman's a newer name to their team. They
Yeah,
came out on fire at the start of this league, and everybody thought they were the
yeah,
team to beat. Got knocked down a peg or two when they tried to take on the Sunday lineup, but are
yeah,
still
yeah.
fighting it out. And still, I mean, they are 9-3 right now. They have 13 points. They're considered one of the top tiers in the league. Just maybe not that breakout star that everybody had assumed in season one. Now they have to fight for their games. Will they be able to pull a win? 12 Ducks yet to find a win, but they're hoping for their first one in the PPL. Last week was their first week. A little bit of adjusting happening to the pick ban phase, to the level of competition here, and hopefully they've studied up, gotten their games in order, so they might be able to take one or even two off of 2OP.
Well, if 2OP keeps deciding that L is a good idea, I wouldn't doubt it.
A lot of teams have been
I mean,
experimenting with L. We saw L played yesterday as well, although not too great of an effect. But teams are trying out a lot of new strategies. We saw, especially, even though it didn't go too well for them in their second matchup, that Not 100 team in their first matchup had a Rampart, an L, some other picks as well that aren't so common that still did well for them. They did manage to pick up a game early on, so who knows?
yeah, in theory, like there's been a lot of debate that they should have won both of their first matchup with a similar lineup, and then when they fought overpowered. I mean, there was so much respect for their Rampart that it drew a ban, right? So something to
Yeah,
be said for that.
yeah, it definitely. We'll see if there are any interesting strategies to this game. Generally, the newer teams are the ones that like to bring on the, hey, this is something new. This is something you don't expect. We're going to rush instead of sit back turn one. We're going to play these freelancer combinations you really haven't seen before. If you're expecting to see those, definitely watch these newer teams. We've got 12 Ducks just joined last week. This week, Not 100 and Origami, both last week, were brand new first games ever. We've still got teams joining in week 4. So definitely, yeah, a lot of new blood, a lot of new ideas coming out. And with these patch changes, again, we did mention the spawn system being different, but this is also the first week that Orion is available. And I believe I got a note earlier, 2OP was the first team to play Orion.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I think they're still in a match, which is what we're actually waiting on 2OP to come out of their second match in their first set. And I believe that Skyman player, he is a support, I believe, because Timor was on the bench, so it makes sense that he's on support player, and he was probably the first go after Ryan. So it's interesting, new player bringing in a new Lancer. I kind of hope success for him, right? It's good to see new showings like that.
Absolutely, it is. I love to see new people making a name for themselves with the league, with different freelancers, and being the guy to go to. You know, we have that road on Lockwood. We have Carradine really pioneering the way for Gremolitions last season. We have a lot of people known for their specific freelancers, although it does open you up to some targeted picks and bans. Generally, people favor their comfort freelancers and their tier lists, but they will make exceptions for certain people. We have seen that before. So, always risky strat for putting all your eggs in one basket there.
If nothing else, as you said, if it draws bans, it's a wasted ban from a power pick,
Yeah,
potentially.
you can get some combos that you might not have been able to get before. Those Helios Celestes, Helio Rask combo. You've got Helio Zuki and Helio Gremolitions are all things you can do with combination picks, as well as you can do a trap comp with Lockwood. You open up a lot of other picks if you force a ban out on something else, so you can really form your strategies around that.
Right, like even in a vacuum, if we look at the last match, PFF and Cookie Cutters were scared regardless as to whether or not they were first pick or second of Lockwood and Gray respectively. So imagine if they were against somebody and they respected somebody's random obscure champion so much that they had to lose those particular bands to get rid of, I don't know, something ridiculous like an Oz or Rampart, like what happened yesterday. All right.
Yeah, I
So
wonder if 2OP is going to respect this new team enough to stick with the standard list, or if we might see them trying out some of the new strategies against this new team and see if they maybe don't take them seriously enough. If we see a lot of those weird strategies, definitely opens up room for 12 Ducks to come in and take advantage of that.
yeah, I hate seeing teams when they don't respect the people they're playing against. Until you lock down consistency in any game at any point at any time, there's no reason for you to be messing around when it to be game day.
I mean,
right?
it's always points on the line. We saw last week teams almost losing. There was a super close game versus Origami, and they admitted in the interview we didn't take them seriously enough. We thought that this was a new team we could bully around, and then they came super close to losing. Unfortunately, Origami did end up taking the loss in that one. But ever since then, teams have been really on guard versus any sort of new team, any sort of new strategy, taking it very cautiously. We're likely to see, those flyway freighters and the start in the shadow compositions and first turns versus newer teams now, just so that the other team can find them out what they want to do.
This was yesterday. Who was playing against Origami, and they said this in an interview. Was this COTP? Is it that one or?
No, Origami played first Voltaic and then outplayed, and you'll have to excuse my memory.
Oh, right.
I believe it might have been Voltaic, although it could have been outplayed. But either one of those two games,
that's super interesting.
They just said that their first game they relaxed a little bit. They weren't taking it seriously because it was a new team, and they almost paid for it.
Yeah, like that's actually super interesting because if Voltaic had said that, granted 2OP is playing today, so we can't really judge them, but if Voltaic had said that, and then obviously from their performance as well for their last match with OP, they obviously didn't respect not 100 super much. Like they did enough to ban out the Rampart, but they still almost lost in that first game. So right. I think it was against.
Yeah, maybe so you guys can watch all those too if you want to find out for sure. They're all going to be on YouTube as well, so check out the YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Prep Phase. We're working on getting it to be YouTube/Prep Phase, but it's not that yet, so you're going to have to search it out. But every game that's played on the PPL, we try and record them all, even if they're not shoutcasted, and they'll eventually be put up on that website. So definitely check that out when you do get a chance.
But yeah, those are two of the top 4 teams not respecting. And then apparently today, Trash wasn't respecting that brand new team with like the random letters. I'm sorry, I forgot what they are exactly. Because Avaki died, right? Like they obviously weren't respecting him enough because something happened.
I don't know. They might have just been good enough to get that kill out. I mean, somebody's got to die some games, so
completely
you can't disregard the skill of these teams. I mean, yesterday we had some fantastic matches between the new teams and the old guard. These new teams are no joke, and they're going to get this experience very quickly at the end of the season, coming strong at the start of next season. You guys need to watch out for these teams Season 3. Find your favorites, watch these guys play, see who you like, and let us know in chat. Go ahead and support your players in the game. It means a lot to the players to have people that like their team as well. That's a big boost in game. It's the home field advantage, We don't have stadiums, but if you got a lot of people in chat cheering your name, you're going to feel good and relaxed coming into this game.
That's true, though. Like, all these new teams, they're coming in under the expectation, like I should hope that somebody explains to them, that the chances of them making it into the tournament are extremely slim. So they're coming in just to play people and just to win, just because. So they obviously have a certain amount of confidence in their abilities to be contenders and to make a name for themselves and to get the practice so that they're ready to go come Season 3.
And they're recognizing the PPL is different from solo queue. Even if you play the same teams, you have a chance to pick, ban, draft. You have a chance to go ahead and pick maps, counterplay. It's definitely a different experience. almost never seen a team come in and have a super strong experience their first week, with the exception of the teams that started before Season 2 and entered Season 2 with everybody else. But once the season's underway, it's such a different experience. To get that experience, these teams are recognizing what they have to do. The teams that are joining now are the ones you need to watch out for next season, because they're the ones that know what they have to do ahead of time instead of waiting and saying, we'll join next season, it'll be fine. All right, looks like that the other team's game is going to go ahead and finish up, so they will be loading into this game shortly. Unfortunately, they won't have much of a break between the two games, but that is life in the league structure. They'll go straight from their last game to this game, and then they'll get their break. Of course, teams only play 2 matches in a weekend, so they'll get to watch whatever third game they want to watch. Hopefully, they'll join us for that.
Yeah, there's actually a lot. For those of you who are super curious and like just love to watch the competitive matches, we do have a lot of shadow games that aren't being streamed either on YouTube or on Twitch, but they are being recorded. We do have some of our guys are in there making sure they're getting recorded down. And if you guys like, we can try to have some of our casters watch them like with fresh eyes, then also have those with casting commentary. If there's an audience for that, we'll definitely take the time out to do that. But there's just so many extra games that we're not able to get out there right now. So just so you're aware, as Restart had mentioned earlier on the YouTube page, there's just so many extra games with teams that are both new and old and like super skilled and a little bit less experienced. Definitely check it out if that's something that interests you guys.
While we're on that subject too, I know we mentioned the YouTube. Check out the Twitter. They post on the Prep Phase Twitter whenever the new games go up. I know Safil has been posting summaries of each week's games with links on the Reddit. There's an awesome Discord. If you guys have any questions, there's super helpful people there. And check out, too, I know that Tryon, big thanks to Tryon for helping. They contribute to the prize pool for these tournaments, although we are not a Tryon sponsored event. They do contribute to the prize pool. So they were at PAX. They won a couple awards. They had some great interviews. You should definitely head over to their website and check out the awesome things that happened there. And the stuff they came back energized. They're doing sponsored streams. The game's set to gain even more players. As much as the PPL league has been exploding, the game's primed to get a big influx of a player, and hopefully next season even bigger than before.
Yeah, I hope the retention rate sticks out. I mean, this season we've had a fair number of teams like that have joined up and then they stuck it out. I remember in season 1 we had a couple that got a little bit discouraged and they didn't stick it around because they felt like certain teams were just dominating everything. But glad we got all this fresh blood, new eyes, and people bringing in Oz and winning with it. So obviously it's not completely locked down yet, right? There's still room for improvement and new experimentation. And so it's interesting for a game that's arguably slower than a lot of other games out there for you to watch. I'm glad it's
well, I think yesterday
like
we
that.
had 5 or 6 different matches. And then today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 separate matches going on. Each match, 2 teams playing. So a lot of games are Atlas Reactor being played at a high competitive level, let alone all the people queuing up for the regular games right now. All right, so looks like
it's important to.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't have the fourth player
Yeah.
in 2OP quite yet, but it's important to know. Well, not important, but it's interesting to know that at like this time last week, we thought on Saturday there was going to be 3 matches because there's only like 3 teams or whatever had shown up, and then it doubled by the time the day actually rolled around because people got so keen on it. So that's how exponential this growth seems to be.
Teams are taking the format importantly too. They're trying to switch days to. Some are switching days to find tougher matches so that they can go ahead and get the experience they need because they're pretty sure they're going to get into the tournament anyways. So they want to play those teams in the high tier, not just the ones they've played already. They want experience.
Yeah.
Some of the other teams have switched to try and get the points they need to get into the top. Levels, so they're switching to try and find easier matches for different days because you can only play on one day a weekend. And if you guys are ever curious about any of that, you can check out the league structure. But it does look like we're going to get into map selection pretty soon.
Yay! Yep, so this time around we got the challengers, as it were, 12 Ducks. And they're playing. They got home, so they got to decide what map, and they decided on Flyway this go around. Interesting.
Yeah, an interesting pick, especially for the newer team who generally wants to get their strategy going off pretty quickly. They don't want to have the other team have a chance to react to them, but looks like they are going for that right now. So the first ban goes to 2OP. When a more experienced team goes against a less experienced team, you'll see a lot of Helio bans because he's such a high variance if he catches people out. That's been explained in multiple interviews. That's Trash's stance that a lot of other teams have taken on that. So Helio, a common ban versus the experience difference here. No surprise there. 12 Ducks really taking their time to figure out what they want to ban from 2OP. Have they done their homework? Do they know what 2OP favors, or is this going to be a general Celeste power ban? Comes
Makes
out.
sense. Wow.
Instantly 2OP goes, Lockwood made it through? Come on, man.
Yeah.
So Lockwood is going to go ahead and be the first pick, and Gray from the other side. No surprises there. Very strong firepower. So 12 Ducks does get a second pick. The first pick from the home team and the last pick from the away are double picks to help change up the order, prevent it from being stale, and prevent it from being too advantaged in one team or the other. They're going to go ahead and favor that Rask. You're absolutely right. Rask didn't get too hard with the slight tweaks. So still a very viable champion, especially you'd expect to see a Finn with him, something that can really help him out.
I would prefer to grab the Rask over the Lockwood if I was in there, especially on Flyway. I understand where 2OP is coming from. Again, power pick. Lockwood is extremely strong, good at all sorts of things. That trap is massive, but the vision that you get from Gray is just too good. So I would have picked Gray. And then 2OP grabbing the Aurora, totally dig that on that end. But the Blackburn from 12 Ducks, that's where this draft seems to be going a little wonky.
Well, to be fair to them, so this ultimate is map wide. It is very easy to pick somebody up from a long distance away that they thought they were safe. You get the Blackburn ultimate out there, as well as on Flyway Freighter, because players are often so far apart, a lot of shots are through cover. Blackburn has one of the few abilities in the game that can ignore cover with a direct line high damage shot with that mod on his stim. So does have some advantages, although you're right, not always the best because he can't always find that cover to be next to, can't always find that cover to dash to. And Titus and Gremolitions being picked up for 2OP, they're going to finish the draft off over there with a very strong lineup, a lot of favorites. 12 Ducks does go ahead and pick up that Finn combos nicely with the rest of their team.
Well, our local streamer extraordinaire Thrills could back me up on this. That Blackburn is very obviously supposed to be a kind of a shout out to Western military these days because he's very much supposed to be a CQB specialist, right? Like close combat military, like rifleman. So I do like him far better on somewhere like Cloudspire, even Evos a bit more than some place with such huge open sight lines like Flyway. Because you're right, he does manage to like avoid cover, but that's his entire kit is kind of based around manipulating and using cover. So I'm still not completely sold. You're not wrong about the one of the few global ultimates in the game, so it makes sense. But I don't know. I'm not really on board. The Finn I like though. I like grabbing the Finn.
Yeah, the Finn's a solid. I think they had solid picks all around. If there is a slight dip, I do agree with you. It's on that Blackburn, but teams have found a way to make it work before. We'll see if they can find it on this way. But 2OP power picks all the way across the board. No obvious combos or synergies per se, besides knockbacks over the Lockwood trap. But really just a solid set. I mean, you can never complain about having a Lockwood on your team. An Aurora, a Titus, a Gremolitions, all very strong, especially on this map. You've got that Gremolitions, you've got Lockwood able to get around corners and throw traps when he can't see people. Very solid.
Yeah, it's just 2OP seems to be going at it from a individual outplay sort of mindset. Because they didn't even grab Asana. They valued the Titus over the Asana. Which I've seen certain teams. I think it was Fun was doing that a couple weeks ago.
And that
where
weaken
they
is
just
not to be underestimated against teams that group up.
no, that's completely true. I'm just saying, like, if there was a team that I would say is the poster boy of just playing whatever they want, I think it was fun because if I recall correctly, they just banned whatever, some like power pick that they weren't planning on, and then they just drafted the same thing every time because they super comfortable on Titus, I believe, and they were super comfortable on Zuki, might have been the other one, and Blackburn, and they kept playing on Cloudspire. So like that's where I kind of understand that when you have lots and lots of experience on somebody that might be a weaker Lancer overall, but for a team like 2OP who supposedly is on board with the meta, I would have expected, honestly.
All right, so we've got 12 Ducks on your blue team. They're going to be led up by Alti. They also have Jalkin, Zerol, and Krano. Over on the other side, Red will be your 2OP team. They're going to be led by Captain Meh with R, Lotre Kib, and Teemo is OP. As they start off, both teams seem to be heading towards the tunnel, as we would expect. One of the most popular conflict spots, especially for teams with a Gremolition or a Grey who can lay those big traps down.
Yeah, having to chase around a Lockwood in the Love Tunnel area is such a pain because he can get all these great shots on you, especially if he has the damage per bounce mod, and he can, like, you can't hit him back half the time. So I completely understand where that's coming from. And this is also a pretty standard start for people who start on red sides, by the way. So it makes sense for a lot of reasons. I'm liking the great positioning, though, because if she manages to get a drone in there, and this is where the melee stays, it can easily go in their favor despite how much it benefits Lockwood fighting in there.
Absolutely. Gray's going to drone up the corner cover there, not really finding anybody just yet. Lotrikiv and Ju both taking positions in cover. Looks like a trap will be big enough to cover everything. But yeah.
He, if they decide to trap him in here, he's taking that there damage no matter what. I mean, he's not going to sit in there and just keep taking tons of pot shots for 2 turns. So if they decide to do that, it'll hurt. But
a weaken on Lotre will mean he will escape relatively unscathed compared to what he would be taking. Maz going to go ahead and start mining up the tunnel. They'll find Krano as Alti goes ahead and puts down those eels. Combined with the damage from Ju, they're definitely taking the better of that trade. Krano won't find anybody in the bush just yet. They do run through the trap on, but really not much damage there. But now these teams are really starting to get close in.
Yeah, this is already almost certainly a dash from this Lockwood. Being right next to Blackburn, who can shoot him in the face for a boatload, as well as the Rask, who can just stay on him if he decides to take... he didn't take the slow on his primary. He took energy, but still, he doesn't know that. You can't tell when you're in-game what the primaries are.
Lotre Kip gonna dash away, dashing in, trying to get some damage down. Matt will throw down mines, not able to get behind to where Lotre is. A good guess, but they're on their team, actually. But Matt throwing the eel over to as Teemo is OP. Ion Clouds Kareno. A nice spray by Altide will catch the dash of Kareno's still gonna find Lotre with the wide slash. That is such a big basic attack.
Big bang!
Big bang from Matt coming out. That's gonna try and knock back everybody. Only finds Kareno. So Kareno getting pushed back right next to where Jew is, and they're still grouped up.
Yeah, so now this is a little bit interesting firing positions because it's not something that you usually see with this split like this. Even though Rask and Blackburn are trapped together, it's not the worst situation because Rask does still have his heal and his dash up, so he can get some hassle out of there. And Blackburn would probably survive this regardless.
Loche is going to turtle tech just in case. Junos are in the center. They're definitely turtle teching. The healing coming out from Rask as even Matt throws out turtle tech. These are all the catalysts early on. Kareno's going to dash over to Lotre instead of back to the health. Interesting decision. Lotre predicts this and is going to take the shot. Ju shooting the support in the back, finally getting some damage and some pressure on Teemo is OP, although Ju's dagger finally pops. So they are taking big damage as well. Altide finds Lotre in the back. That turtle tech paying off as Lotre down to only 30 health. Man, look at this predict on the dash. Able to find Kareno as well. The eel coming in to bring Lotre even lower, but they are still alive.
Yeah, that eel has been doing complete damage. It's never been a cover hit. So that eel has been getting full value this entire time, and it's kind of been a pain in the ass, or a pain for 2OP in a big way. And I would not expect to see a dash or any defensive maneuvers coming in from Blackburn, because Lockwood is the one who really needs to get out of there more than he does.
Although Lockwood may just take the death, doesn't want to die next turn when it comes in. We'll see as the healing comes down on Carreno. Carreno not too worried yet. A big heal from Timo from downtown. That'll put Lotrave into a position where multiple people need to attack him. Instead, Ju's going to predict them dashing and try and continue focus on the Timo. Lotrave's just going to sit there and deal damage along with Awe, but it's not enough. They didn't find the last bit of damage, or did they? Meh. Goes ahead and throws down the mines, but the knockback just holds Ju in place, so no chance of them dying right there.
Not sure about that Rask move. That seemed a little curious, just moving over behind cover, because now he can't do anything from his position, and at this point, it's been turned around. Blackburn is the one that's in trouble, and Blackburn's almost certainly getting killed at this point, because there's really nobody else for Lockwood and Titus to go after.
Ju Catalyst away, although it is pretty clear where they might be. Oz going to go ahead and take the swing shot. Jalkin, again, they're finding these random shots from the back on Timo's OP, doing big damage to support. That will come into play in not too long. Altide's going to start their eel right back up again. It's been doing work. No need to stop. What happens? It looks like Timo is going to find Ju. Ju with no escapes right now.
So this, yeah, he's going down here almost certainly, one way or another, because there's no support hanging around to help him out, and he's got everyone's got full vision on him. But they might be able to turn around on, 12 Ducks might be able to turn around onto this Titus, since he's also super far away from the rest of his team.
Looks like that seals the heel.
Krenner's going to throw the bubble and unstoppable. Altide's going to throw the bubble and unstoppable on his frontliner. There's going to be a spray from Ju trying to spread out the damage instead of focus it on the Timo's OP. As Jalkin Zero is going to find a 4-person drone. Always happy to see those. See if they can't catch people in it next turn as well. Here comes the bouncing eel onto Meh. The Iron Field seals Ju's fate, but just in case, Matt contributes some damage and throws additional mines in front of Carreno. The throw from Carreno gets Awe back, although Awe does have dash to instantly re-engage if they choose to do so. And Matt tries to separate enough to prevent these eels from bouncing.
And now this Gray, who's been largely out of the fight for most of the game, could potentially be looking into trouble, because Awe is on that side of the map with her, and she was probably trying to cut off this Lockwood, but the 2v1, or it can quickly turn into 2v1 or so.
The slow from R comes in on the dash, combined with the trap. That'll be decent damage to start it off. Timo's OP is actually getting pretty low from just little bits of onesie, twosie hits here. They will heal just a little bit, as well as helping out their Lockwood Lotre. Altide takes a spray, doesn't find anybody. Lots of ultimates available as turn 9 comes to a close. We start up turn 10.
Yeah, I would like to see more sprinting coming in from 12 Ducks. I really don't like wasted shots like that one from coming in from. Could have repositioned, could have helped out with this Rask a bit more, could have even gone over to help out with Gray at this point. But
yeah, when you know where most people are, guesses aren't always the best. It looks like healing coming in on Carreno. That'll do some decent work keeping this Rask up in the front. That's what you want to see. Paralyzer coming out, but not really preventing much of any damage at all. Jalkin's going to dash over to the other side of the map, safe behind the Rask, but not so safe, as a spray from Lotre is going to catch both them and Carreno after they dash in.
Yeah, that's rough. But now we got lots of ultimates. Now that we're in turn 11, we're seeing ultimates coming out from almost everybody. Rask just used his and whiffed it a little bit after the Gremolitions dashed out, seeing that coming. But it does cut off movement here for the 2OP squad by a fair bit, because nobody wants to walk through that. It might not be a lot of damage, but it's still super annoying.
The boost from Oz going to give might to this Aurora. This Aurora is going to now use a mighted ultimate to get big damage, as well as healing on the rest of the team. Of course, might not affecting the healing, but the damage unusual for an Aurora getting 40 on Carreno. Of course, they are going to focus their down. Ju throws this grenade, has been very good at targeting the support. Combined with Jalkin's ultimate, that may be enough. Carreno even takes the swipe. That's going to take Teemo Izop down before anything else happens. But here comes the combo, pulling both of them through the wall. Definitely more than enough on Aurora, but also putting Awe in a bad spot.
That did get the combo down, but optimally with the rework to Gray's ultimate, where the walls don't come down and they do less damage, you want to pull them into the box so that they can't escape, but they'd have to take the damage again to leave. So it's a bit of a suboptimal combination.
Or put the Rask on the other side so you can throw them back into it the next turn because the walls no longer break.
Yeah, exactly.
Ju and Moreno taking shots on Awe. Altide missing again with his basic shot. Doesn't seem to be able to figure out where the enemy is. Maz going to take a gigantic ultimate, hitting multiple members of the other team, but without might. Not doing too much damage, but the focus from Awe and Lotre together with that Matt ultimate, they definitely do enough damage.
Yeah, it was enough. But we've been seeing ults slowly trickle in, but we still got two of them coming in, or we still got two ults available for 2 OP, and they already got the 2-1 lead. So they gotta 12 Ducks has to be worried about the Titus ultimate as well as the potential Lockwood ultimate. Both huge damage dealers.
Well, worried they are as Finn throws a turtle tech, even though it's only one person that can see him. Ju dashes out of the way. Altide's going to start these eels again. We'll see if anybody's going to get close enough for a balance, or if he's going to be a wasted set. Mass finally gets that dagger popped. Nice prediction by Matt on Ju. So Ju being very low, and with Loche right next to them with no escapes, this might be another death for Blackburn.
Yeah, this is why Blackburn is seen by certain parties as being one of the... Like, this is being his weakest map, because he's not able to make the most out of the long sight lines or the sketchy, like, tunnel up in the top section. He does have certain tools that help him out occasionally, but not consistent.
Bubble coming up from Finn. Very concerned with protecting themselves and keeping themselves alive at this point. Oz going to bring the fight to Jalkin in the back, finding Gray in the background. Gray's heal is not going to be enough. Altide gonna the bubble will deal damage to Lotre, and they did go ahead and get the drone in the right spot. But Juice also going down, even though they do get a nice ultimate for big damage. That's going to instantly put them up to 4 kills for 2 OP, only 1 kill for 12 Ducks. 12 Ducks in big trouble.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that Gray was up there super low, so that was a good catch over from Awe. Very, very well done, managing to, like how Lava Cookie tried to seal the deal on that kill against Zuki, but this time managed to get it straight in, managed to lock it down. It's a good, clean kill.
We'll see if they can't find their remaining kills soon. Teemo Izop healing Matt back up. Lotrape going to find the double bounce for the maximum modded damage on Altide. Altide doing a wide spray for not much themselves. Matt seems to want to pull Carreno through a lot of mines, although the throw and the healing knockback will separate the two for now.
5 turns remaining.
So this is not looking good for Finn. He was surrounded briefly with Lockwood and Titus, but now Titus is just going to stay on his tail forever, pretty much, until he manages to kill Finn. Can expect Titus to just be constantly sticking around on him.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised for the ult here, just to try and lock down that final kill.
Oh yeah. Oh, it would have whiffed with the flash going from Finn.
Does look like lots of Matt catalysting out despite the dash from Carreno. Does get him out of the ultimate and the dash range, so good job by Matt. Odd taking just a regular swipe versus Altide. Won't find him there and won't actually even get sight on him, although knows where he is thanks to those buff and line of sight positionings.
Yeah, it's looking like 12 Ducks should be able to lock down this kill on Meh, because he's got no escapes for this turn. Should be able to do just enough damage to finish him off. Although if he does survive somehow this go-around, might be able to stay one step ahead of 12 Ducks while the rest of his team is off this event.
Loche from the back desperately trying to find some damage as Matt takes some cover damage but manages to survive right now. Ju's going to throw the grenade in. And that's going to be the final bit of damage that they needed. Man does go down. The knockback pushing Jew away from the trap. A little bit of miscommunication there.
3 turns remaining.
Yeah, I don't think that Lockwood could have gotten it any closer, though, even if he wanted to. So
I'm saying the Big Bang could have been on the other side and push him through the trap.
Oh, that's true. Right, that's true. Sorry. You're completely correct.
Yep.
But it
Does look
should
like
still get value here.
Yeah, it looks like one person that's going to get value is Titus. We'll see as multiple people grouped up in front of him. Even going ahead and taunting the might out of there. Carreno's going to dash through to try and avoid some damage. And Lotrave taking a big bit, but here comes the ultimate. Altide and Jew both chunked down for big portions of the life. Teemo is OP contributing, as is Lotrave, bringing Jew extremely low. The spray from Jew will get a little bit of return damage, but now they have to be super careful. Jew will have dash up next turn, are going low. Not taken down quite yet, does have dash and catalyst available.
2 turns left.
Yeah, so definitely expect a Catalyst from not a Catalyst, the dash from Blackburn. Should be able to get a bit of damage down, but it might be too little too late. Oh, it certainly is. Round 19. It's going to be pretty hard pressed to be able to get the 2 kills without losing one themselves in the next 2 turns.
I mean, Awe looks to be something that they might be able to try here. They are going to heal him up, though, so a tougher target. The bubble on Unstoppable, and Awe's going to actually dash away, knowing that Jew was a very smart move by their part. They'll get a knockback on this one, and they're going to actually try and focus Altide. The bubble saved him so far, but is there extra damage coming in? No, there's not. Jalkin's going to try and take a shot, seeing if they predicted a dash correctly. They're going to knock Carreno inside that gray ultimate. I mean, inside that gray drone, excuse me.
Last turn.
Yeah, so unless flashes, which he totally can, he should almost certainly go down this turn. But again, at this point, 12Dex needs 3 kills in order to even stay in the game. And it's not looking good.
Yeah, Jew most likely going down if anybody else besides Matt can focus them as well, because they are healing a bit this turn.
Yeah, there it is.
Lotrave's going to dash out. Oz going to dash out, so kills unlikely as Jalkin whiffs. Carreno takes the swipe, won't find anybody. Maz going to try and hope that Jew made the Cardinal Sin of moving on turn 20 and just take some basic shots.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised, or a bit worried there for a moment that maybe 2OP was not going to respect their enemies at all, and they were just going to like keep going for the kills, but they made the correct plays, flashing out, making sure they don't give up anything needlessly. Yeah, solid 5-2.
Defeat.
Well fought. They deserve it for sure.
Definitely a well-fought, but absolutely 2OP showing us why they are a top team. 12 Ducks still in the hunt for the first win. They'll have another chance with this game coming up. We want to see how the stats went here. I mean, Jew managed to do tremendous damage on this Blackburn, but you have to remember 2 deaths is also a stat. A lot of people can do tremendous damage if you run in the middle and use AoEs, but the death stat is you almost have to divide it out by, hey, damage done, number of lives taken, and you'll see a more true representation there. Meanwhile, on the other side, you had people with 550 damage who didn't die. And then 400 with 1 death. I mean, the stats really tell the story. And in this one, the story was 2OP is indeed just a little 2OP.
How long you been sitting on that one?
I use it every week. I don't sit on that at all.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so we should be able to get in the second one right away.
Yeah, they should. It's the same team, so they should be able to create the next match. We're going to hop into that and see if we can't get that draft going immediately for you guys so you can see the exciting conclusion. Will 2OP get yet another sweep this week, or is 12 Ducks finally going to grab that win?
Oh, here it is. I was trying to join the wrong game. Alrighty, so... yeah, they're just filling out the lobby right now.
Yep, I'm expecting 12 Ducks to try something a little different. I agree. I think that Blackburn pick was let them down a little bit. There were a lot of situations where a lot of other freelancers might have been safe, but Blackburn just wasn't able to do the damage. Positioning was also somewhat of a problem for both teams in the early rounds of that. There was a lot of confusion over where people were going, people ending up out of line of sight when they wanted to do damage, or in line of sight when they wanted cover. Hopefully both teams can rectify that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the problem, the fundamental problem that 12 Ducks has is that they like to be extremely passive as a general rule, except for Blackburn, who was the one person who was far too aggressive. So Gray didn't get a lot of primaries out. Usually it was drone attacks. Finn was always super paranoid that he was the one that was going to die. And even the Rask had gone to some not optimal positions. Like, for example, close to the end when he dashed in for that ult and Gremolitions had actually dashed out, he could have gotten it positioned in such a way that the ult hit both Aurora and where Gremolitions was, but instead he opted to get the maximum amount of dash damage down onto the Grem, and he was punished for it, right?
Absolutely.
Just certain small things like that, I think, once they clean it up, once they see kind of how the big boys play a little bit more, I'm sure they'll adapt pretty quickly because they already recognize who's good and what maps you should practice.
I'm sure they'll go back and watch these games as well and realize, hey, why did we do that? Or, hey, exactly. we need to tweak this up. As these teams really tighten up their play a lot, you can see a difference in caliber from the teams that have been playing in the PPL for quite some time versus just the newer teams. If you guys have any questions about the PPL or you guys want to form a team, then go ahead, check out the website or ask the chat. They're super friendly. But everybody pretty much knows what's up by now. We're approaching the end of Season 2. Only 2 weeks left after this week. And this is, for those of you just joining us, this is the middle of the Sunday games for Week 4 of Season 2. We already had a split between Play for Fun and Cookie Cutters earlier. And now 2OP is up 1-0 versus 12 Ducks, looking for that second win as these teams ready up for the next draft.
Yeah, they should be good to go here right away. We got 2OP is picking their map this time around. I wouldn't be super surprised to see Flyway. I mean, the reason why we have so many teams on the Sunday is because they want to get as much practice with the undisputed champion as possible. And one of the things that they do and they win consistently is they play on Flyway. So it makes sense that you want to get as much practice as possible. You want to understand the sight lines and like how the cover works and all these things through practice and repetition. And when you get to do it against the top teams, it makes sense.
It's important to understand why as well. I think that separates what's really a top tier from a middle tier right now. Is the middle tier are emulating the plays and the picks that they see everybody else doing it. And the really top tier understand exactly why they choose this map, why they're in this position that time and not the other time, and they're really able to get it. That's something that just comes with practice and play versus other good players. You're not going to always get at a solo queue where the positions are different, and it looks like we are going to go straight into Evo's laboratory this time.
Well, obviously, I'm wrong yet again, right? I'm worst caster NA over here. Jesus.
Maybe it's the teams that are wrong, and you're correct. Put it that way. But, yeah, it looks like 2OP, the home team, going to go ahead and pick Evo's laboratory. That will give the first ban and the first pick to 12 Ducks in this situation. They're going to ban Gremolitions right away. They don't want that Gremolitions play against them on Evos.
Makes sense, especially since they played against the last time. They decided it was rough. They didn't like what it did to their composition. I mean, that who was it? Meh likes to play apparently mines, like the kind of a more mine oriented build. Because even on his ultimate, I don't know if you saw it, but he had mines stay on every section you hit with your ultimate.
Right.
So maybe just because 12 Ducks isn't super confident with their pathing yet, that they're just getting punished far too hard from the Gremlins, so they ban it out. And they pick up the Lockwood. I like grabbing the Lockwood. I think that it's a lot more... It has a more friendly power to playability ratio than Gray does, because Gray, all of her strengths rely in her vision dominance. So if they're not super into that, I think Lockwood's better.
2OP picking up Celeste this first pick and taking their time for their second one until they grab Titus. I mean, 12 Ducks last time showed us they are no slouch at the pick ban. They really ended up with a solid team. And this time I expect no different. They're going to end up with a solid team. The question is, what are they going to do with it at this point? They know that the frontliners taking on the other side, they can afford to take a very good firepower. And so they're taking two of the most picked firepowers. Gray and Lockwood, able to get around these corners. Evos Laboratory, a very line-of-sight oriented map. And when you've got that vision that you can grab from both Gray as well as the bouncing of Lockwood, it's very hard to get away from damage from 12 Ducks this turn.
I like it. As long as this Gray plays a bit more assertively. Oh, excuse me. Jeez. At least in such a way that you can get more primaries downrange. I like it. Like it 100%. Not completely convinced that they're going to be able to make the change right away, but the way EVOS is designed, I think it forces them to do that a little bit more so. So I think already, granted, we only have half the pick ban phase done, but I think even with these firepowers, they can give 2OP a bit more of a run for their money.
Yeah, the question will be if they can focus. Last time we saw a lot of split damage here, and these are both people that can do a lot of hit people that other people on their team can't. The drone can do a little bit of chunking away damage, but they really have to focus. But a big story here, as you guys will get to see, Orion really hasn't been featured too much on stream. I don't think he's been on stream at all. I think that might have been a dark... I don't know where that game was, but Orion was picked earlier in 2OP going back to it. They're going to play Orion this match. You guys are going to get to see it in a major PPL match as 12 Ducks finishes up with that Finn and Ras combo they like so much.
And I approve of Blackburn here, too. Like I say, Evos and Cloud Spires where you bring Blackburn. You don't bring him on Flyaway.
Absolutely.
I'm still surprised about the Titus over Asana, though. For all the same reasons I said before. But, again, if they're comfortable on Titus, if they're confident with him, and they won with him last time, and it secured that kill, secured that great kill, makes sense. I'm down with it. I'm being converted slowly but surely.
All right, so we'll see if these teams can make this work this time. 2OP with the slightly more unconventional picks, but we have faith that they can make it work. 12 Ducks with a very, very solid lineup. Can they convert this raw power into a victory if they can manage to focus fire and keep their positioning in a solid spot? They've shown us that they can draft extremely well.
Yep, and they wanted to play Orion, right? Oh, no, that was Cookie Cutters, I believe. But I mean, just getting the Orion out there will be interesting. I like to see how it goes down. And into a Raz, it shouldn't be too terrible. With the amount of single target damage that's coming in just in general from the 12 Ducks side.
All right, we're just going to remind them to make sure the map's correct. We've seen that happen before. Right. So we want to make sure we don't have to remake that game, but it does look like we're ready to go. So let's see. I am curious when these teams, they're bringing out Orion, they're bringing out a lot more Blackburn on different maps. I'd love to see some teams figure out the pup puzzle. What does it take to make Pup work at this point? Because he's strong. That bite is so much damage, and it heals you. There's a lot of strong abilities there. The problem is he falls down in being a little predictable. If he gets countered out of stealth a little bit, even though the health pool was increased, it isn't that high. I'd love to see a team be able to make that work at some point, and maybe it takes some of these shaking up versus these new teams, old teams play, where you see a lot of the new freelancers, to really try and figure that out in a PPL setting. But anyways, focusing more on this map, they're going to set up their mods and catalysts.
5.
I'd expect some damage reduction to come out of 2OP side to help out with that Orion Siphon and some healing, whereas 12 Ducks might be free to go more offensive, but we'll find out as we load into this match.
Well, I mean, you're right with the pup thing.
Mission starting.
The reason why his numbers are so high is because he's so easily countered, right? So if somebody manages to make the most out of the front loadedness of his entire kit, awesome. Like, that's cool. It means that people have to know how his counters work. Maybe that's a certain skill that's not really everywhere in the PPL yet. Maybe people can take wins off of teams because people just don't know how to play properly against a proper comp that utilizes pup. Maybe. This is me being optimistic for your sake. I'm not
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that he's primed to all of a sudden be the next pick or ban. Both teams rotating into opposite sides of the map, staying pretty grouped up at this point. The team without Celeste going away from the might buff because they know Celeste has it anyways unless they're willing to waste their dash.
Yeah. Its main problem with some of these middle buff maps is because Celeste just has dominance over it, gets it for sure. So you can either wait it out or you can not worry about it.
Or if you have a super long dash like Titus, you can just hope and pray you hit somebody as you go flying into the background.
It's like a huge risk for a minor reward.
Alright, looks like that they will go ahead and grab that buff. The drone coming out for some vision won't find anybody because they did rotate to different sides of the map. Still going to be a turn into of no action as teams jockey for position.
Yeah, I wouldn't be using this. Yeah, it's hard to say. You can't really be using any abilities until you know exactly where people are. You make certain guesses and you can like run the stats game, but can't use too many resources just playing Marco Polo, right? You gotta eventually find out exactly where they are.
Looks like Carreno's going to throw the bubble onto, or Carreno's going to get the bubble from Altide, but since there is no double bubble anymore, that won't do much this turn, just prevent him from taking any run damage. It gets a little bit of energy, I do believe, but Awe is, and Carreno actually selected the same spot, both going to contact each other. Neither one knows where the rest of the enemy team is. They only know where the frontliners are.
Yeah. So lots of damage coming on the frontliners, pretty much. I mean, if these are the only people that you can see at this point, either they're going to have to be using up the dashes, or this is just where the damage comes through right now.
Again, 2OP has a little bit better position to help out their frontliners. Awe going to go ahead and dagger Carreno. Looks like they were expecting the dash, but they didn't count the squares appropriately. Carreno cannot see them, so it would have had to have been a blind dash. Carreno's going to take the swipe on Awe. It looks like a shot from Lockwood takes some damage on the frontliner as well. Loche, they were really betting on this all-in dash. Altide's going to try for the spray, not get anything. A lot of whiffs that turn, and a slight disengage from the frontliners, although Gray jumps out in the front.
Get the autos down, right? Managed to maybe actually get real damage down range using the primary since the drone's already out. And usually this could have been a problem if 12 ducks all decide to advance up and they wanted to keep going down towards this big wall. But this, because of the bushes both got broken, so they would have a ton of vision on everybody on their team, but instead they got the smoke bombs out, so it still denies a lot of vision.
Yeah, the smoke bomb's doing a lot of work. Awe dashing in, finding Jew, most likely taking some retribution. Lotrape's going to ignore the cover with a bomb, although they are weakened. Meh, finding a cover shot will do a little bit of damage. Jew does that drone damage that they like, but Teemo's OP sucking away a good chunk of that small bit of damage, and now Jew with the slow out in a bad spot.
Yeah, I did not like that drone usage at all. The auto on Meh should have been fine if it could have got it down, but it decided instead, yeah, to just throw the drone, maximize the distance, I guess, for her own dashes. I don't like it, though. Don't like that play at all.
I've got a secret.
Celeste taunting this trap. We'll see if it hits next turn. Carreno and Jew both going to dash. It looks like they did not predict the exact spot of the jump. Direct damage going on to Carreno after the dash. Man will be able to grab the healing buff. Really good for them to be able to control that center buff. Altide and Jalkin setting in what seems to be almost reversed positions as Jalkin's way in the back, not able to do anything.
What happened? Yeah, Lockwood didn't do anything this turn.
Yeah, I don't know if he had to step away or something, but not able to do anything. Altide's going to start that Eel that has been doing good work for them. Eel, #1 player, MVP.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Jew in a rough spot, dashing in the middle of the enemy team without invisibility or anything.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. Should still be able to survive. I'll just go again. Should also be able to get good damage down onto Orion. But you want to burst down that Orion before he's able to heal himself up, back up, or use the ultimate. Because if you manage to kill him, you almost deplete all of his energy reserves.
Ju's Turtle Tech preventing most of the damage coming back in. They get a little bit on Carreno as well. Maz gonna find even more as well as grabbing the buff. And here comes Teemo's OP after they broke that shield, doing just a little bit more. But the throw keeps Teemo in play out place. M throws low trade there, but he doesn't follow up to be able to get the double hit next turn.
Yeah, we must have wanted to go and save the Finn to go over and hassle this. Excuse me, both this Titus and the Celeste. But Titus ended up going down to continue to attack this Gray, and Gray unfortunately does not know this on a trap. So despite, like, no matter how much shielding man throw in on this Gray, it's almost certainly will be taken down this turn.
Field delivery service.
Oh, Bubbles, one way to shield somebody. 40 is gigantic. Although Teemo is OP is going to put a bomb on as well. Low trade dashes around, as does May, to try and avoid any damage on them. They're going to get a nice spray, but the eel is going to bounce back to their support. The trap goes off on Ju. That's the first bit of damage. Of course, drones are passive, so they don't trigger the explosion. Turns and hits on Altide instead, expecting a lot of shielding. Lockwood not able to find a shot. Teemo's OP brings Ju really low. They expected the catalyst and they didn't finish them off.
The if she had shot Titus, that would have been enough to kill her. But nope, ended up going for the sprint. A little bit of miscommunication because Finn has taken Gray's spot behind that cover, but still, it was a good call to sprint. I like that sprint. Good job.
And I would have liked it even more if they were able to end behind cover, but unfortunately, now Altide with the bubble and the heal is doing work. This Gray has to buy them dinner afterwards.
So sharp.
Looks like Titus gonna go ahead and throw that dagger over on Carreno instead. They're gonna try and burst down this Rask before he can do too much more. Zalkin throwing out the trap, trying to predict the movements. Might catch one person. Low trade gonna throw the bomb on Carreno, combined with a dagger, bringing them extremely low. Mag gets a no cover double mighted ultimate on Jalkin, bringing instantly Lockwood below half health. The healing from a Carreno barely brings them back up to a reasonable level. They might be able to survive a basic attack next turn, but out in the middle of the map, they're in trouble.
Yeah, Carreno is not in a good position right now. It does not have his healing up. Does have flash though, so would expect the ults to be down at some, like, just to get it down before he dies and kicks it. But we also got the Finn ults potentially coming in, as well as a Blackburn one. Other side.
I can't be stopped.
Turtle Takes coming out for a lot of different people. The Weaken and Might combo means R might be able to take on Ju, although they are weakened themselves. Looks like a trap coming out from Ju. Carreno flashes to the center, continues to heal, throws down the ultimate on both members of the enemy team. Teemo is OP, continuing to focus on the Turtle Tech. Lockwood in the back. Ju taking a big swing from as the drone continues to do work from Ju, building up that energy to full. A nice spray from Jalkin. Again gets the 2 in the center. Smoke bombs try to limit vision next turn. Low trade gets 3 hits. That does unfortunately take down that Rask, who put himself in such a good position because of this combo with Altide. Just swinging the other 2 back into the center. Of course, they did manage to kill Blackburn, but now Maz back in the center of the map in the goo, and Rask would have been right there if he didn't take that unfortunate ultimate.
Yeah, I like that combination a lot better. Granted, Rask had to flash, which ultimately did kill him for it, but I did like it. Combination worked out. It was just predicted by the Blackburn, although Blackburn died himself to make sure he got that ult down.
A little bit more protection going down on Mad this turn. The second swing of the ultimate won't get anybody from Blackburn. Ju just trying to wall off any chasing going on here while getting damaged. Altide taking a little bit of cover, not too much, but the trap on Zalkin doing major work. And it looks like Orion's healing quite a bit off of Meh. Unfortunately, the trap does go off in the movement phase, so they'll take full damage from that.
So I would like to see a dash coming in from this Lockwood to go and try to get the damage down onto the Celeste, as well as snake that heal from her, because one way or another she'll be grabbing it herself if he doesn't.
but to pick up my fin.
Alteed's going to go ahead and throw on that Turtle Tech. Teemo's RP counters with a little extra damage on their own. Zalkin tries to dash straight through the middle, takes the damage from the explosion Teemo's RP put on him. Mad dashed around to grab the health. Awe is going to combine with everybody to take down the Gray in the back and do major damage on Alteed. This team has just come all together right now. 2OP taking a 3-1 lead on the end of turn 12 as we go into turn 13.
Yeah, this is pretty dicey. So because of the respawn system, this means that there's 2 turns that this is going to be a 4v3. And they only need the 2 kills from 2OP in order to close out this game entirely.
And Alteed isn't looking extremely healthy here and is throwing the bubble on Carreno instead, accepts the death. They're going to throw the dagger on Alteed.
Out of sight, out of mind.
A trap goes up. Carreno dashes through. That bubble will actually do significant work here, dealing good damage to both Matt and but Teemo's OP ends Alteed, and Matt comes in for the kill, as does Loche. They wanted to make sure that went down, even if they got the bubble. They indeed focused it down. A 4-1 lead. They are pretty low themselves, but could all afford to die as long as they get 1 kill.
It's still a 3v1, right? Blackburn might be on the other side of the map, but there's no reinforcements for Rask this turn.
And Teemo's OP has that massive heal. If modded, it can get up to 50 health over 2 turns. Biggest single target ability. Looks like they're just getting 20 right now. Oz going to dash out to make sure they don't die. Meh, taking the shots they want to just make sure they have the best win possible. Not going to get too cocky and try for the kills. Smart move. They're going to throw Celeste in place and Lockwood moving so they can take the shot this following turn. Teemo's OP might have a gigantic ultimate, though, if they choose to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely accurate. Would be able to hit this Lockwood and this Rask. Although, oh yeah, does know where the Lockwood is. I would expect the focus coming in against Meh on Celeste, though, even though he has the flash still.
And indeed, they're going to try and protect Matt as much as possible. Look at all this healing and shields back up near full. They're going to throw the grenade on Carreno, knowing Carreno has several turns left before they have any abilities up. Although they do have their catalyst, Teemo is OP, absorbing a lot of this damage off of Matt. Matt's shields aren't even broken through yet. Teemo's OP is just getting broken there. Nice vision reduction and some good damage from the smoke grenades, but Carreno's able to follow.
5 turns remaining.
Yeah, so now that both Matt and Teemo is OP, have their ultimates up, this is probably going to be another super painful turn for Red Team on 12 Ducks. But you never know. Titus is still running around to try to get some health, and Blackburn is mostly sticking around in the flanking position, so they might want to just be playing this one safe. Wait it out for the 4-1 win.
Teemo's OP throws a little bit of extra damage on Matt. Is Matt sticking around for this? Matt actually catalysts out as Jalkin dashes away too. Lotre gonna take the shot, not find anything. Matt actually dashed to an open spot in the middle of the... unfortunately, that cover was broken. Teemo's OP taking a little more damage. Alteed trying to get that eel down, will not. And here comes Teemo's ultimate, still finding Jalkin as well as Carreno and Ju, weakened unfortunately, but the heal still going off, bringing them right back up.
So now it's Gray once again in the middle of
remaining.
The entire enemy lineup here. We could expect a dash coming out, but they need to start getting these kills down because they only have so many turns and they need to get 3 with the rest of the 2 OP squad being incredibly healthy. They've been sticking around for this 3v4 fight for quite a while, with Titus just running around, grabbing up all the pickups and whatever health that's been respawning.
Healing mist.
Alteed's gonna try and heal up the rest of the team since can't get much damage down. Meh, throwing the trap, seeing what they can do for the following turn. The healing coming back up, and they're trying their best to keep Matt alive as Lotrip dashes out, getting the shots on Carreno. Matt throws the ultimate 2 ways, ensuring at least 1 hit does bring Carreno down really low, although they'll have their ultimate really soon. Teemo getting shot from the back lines there as Lockwood takes a direct hit.
3 turns left.
Yeah, I would like to see more shots down on his Teemo's OP as Orion to make sure that they can limit the amount of healing that he's dishing out, because with no pressure he's been able to brain juice and just constantly take boatloads of damage for his teammates, particularly Celeste, and that's why Celeste is almost all the way back up to full after having so much pressure applied to her for so long.
Teemo trapping Matt, so if they try and focus at Celeste, they're going to have a rough time. Jalkin's going to throw the trap around back, trying to get Awe, and I'm sure Ju will be there too. Carreno dashes right in front of the enemy team. Again, a short dash when dashing past people might be better and avoid more damage. Direct hits going down. They're going to try and focus Finn instead, knowing Carreno is going to get all their cooldowns back up. Teemo's OP does take significant damage, and Altid contributing to that. And Ju trying to take those shots on Awe. Combined with the trap, they do significant damage. Teemo and Awe both in trouble, but again, a 4-1 lead makes it not as significant unless they can find 2 more kills.
Yeah, Teemo's going to need to start thinking about flashing out. But even if he dies here, he'd just be out for the rest of the game regardless. It is a kill that the red team, that 12 Ducks definitely needs to be grabbing while they have it, with him being out in the open like this. Oh, there we go.
And actually throwing up the turtle tech might try and survive for even more turns.
Yeah.
The dash from Awe, since he knows the trap down, will find Ju, triggering the dagger, doing big damage. Bubble catching a little bit in the background. They are going to burn through that shield very quickly on Teemo. Low Trape and Meh bringing Alta down to half health. Teemo's OP is going to continue to focus Ju. Ju's extremely low with no escapes now. The spray from Jalkin does manage to take down Titus, but Teemo's OP is still alive, still next to Ju. I don't think they can find any other damage, though.
Yeah, this is the turn that Teemo flashes out and doesn't die on his team, and there won't be really any other way for 12 Ducks to tie it up with 2 kills. Teemo OP was one of the options they for sure needed, because the other 2 members of 2 OP that's still alive are both at full, and firepowers can't really hit them from where they are.
Altid going for a full heal when what they need is the kills, but I don't just think it's mathematically possible at this point, as Low Trape's going to go for the ultimate. Teemo's OP flashes to the other side. Carreno's dash missing. Ju's basic attack missing. Matt finds just a little bit more damage and energy from that healing. Low Trape going to catch a lot of people in this ultimate, bringing Altid and Ju really low, but it's turn 20. Doesn't matter. A 4-2 victory. 2 OP takes it 2-0.
Yep. They done good. They, excuse me. It was good and clean, but Ducks did fight back a bit harder this time around. They actually got twice the number of kills they got last time, so it makes sense. As I said, I like the improvement of them grabbing the Lockwood over the Gray, but they still had that problem where they just played so passively for so long. Lockwood was sticking around at 17 damage till around turn 7 or something. It was not the strongest showing, unfortunately.
And while they had flashes of teamwork, I have to admit a lot of 12 Ducks looked like a lot of solo play put together where people were trying their best. There wasn't really the combinations, the discussions you think to herd people into the correct spot. It was very much, what do I do right now for the best move that I can do? But not that 2 turns ahead, 3 turns ahead thinking, where 2OP was able to push people into bad situations, push them into the traps, help rotate the frontliner out when they were at low health, and it just led up to a commanding victory, even though it did go to time, 4-2, easily in control. Mathematically, I think no way to lose that on the final turn.
No, you're completely correct there. It was suboptimal for sure. They just gotta make sure they have their lockdowns. They know who they're going to be focusing, and they're communicating properly where, like, who's going to move where, and like what their overall game plan is, so that they don't constantly butt heads. I mean, like I say, that one play from Gray where she decided to sprint instead of shooting, where shooting could have potentially killed her, that was like super solid, but because of the miscommunication, that Finn took her cover spot, just minor things like that. And like when there's so many minor things like that, they add up, and they add up to lost games. So.
All right, well, let's see if we can't get an interview in here from one of the 2OP team. Let them know how this game went. I don't know, Siege Lord, if you can help us organize that.
Sure.
We're going to get somebody in from that team. We had Some very solid performances. You know, Meh and Lotre on those firepowers, both putting in big numbers, especially Meh with these dashes able to stay alive. We had on the front line. Was our tightest that game. I can actually switch back over to that screen so you guys can see. And Timo's OP able to bring a new freelancer into play and do very well with them. Now we'll see how that fares versus another top tier team at another point, but at this point looked very strong. They had a lot of healing, no deaths, a significant amount of damage. So looks like we have Meh joining us. Meh, how you doing today?
Fine, thanks. Hello.
All right, so you guys, a 2-0 sweep versus a new team, continuing this winning streak. Congratulations on that. Tell us, though, the story about Orion. What have you guys figured out about him? Why is it that you guys are able to make him work when these other teams aren't picking him up yet?
I don't know.
Okay. That's not a team decision. That's just Timo going, I want to play Orion?
No, that was... Well, we think we can make him work. We are making him work. That's basically everything to it. Since he is good, he's... that Fate Transfer, I think it's called. Super useful ability, especially when very low. Like in one match I was standing with 30 HP and I had to dash, but thanks to Orion I decided on doing damage. And so basically he's working out for us.
So he's changing how you play as a firepower simply by adding a new type of supporting ability. That's interesting to hear.
Well, that's kind of his role.
Right.
Do you think he brings that survivability, that focused survivability, more so than Helio? You like him better than Helio?
Yes, Helio is for me.
He just doesn't gel within your team?
His combo is powerful, but outside of that combo, he brings next to nothing.
Gotcha.
But his ult also is good, but you don't get like ult every 3-4 turns.
Gotcha. All right, so we saw you specifically on the Celeste have some very good areas where you blocked off line of sight. Was that a consideration from the map? Do you practice, if I stand here, I can block off these 3 areas? Or are those specifically turn by turn? How do you figure out going for damage versus going for sight reduction on Celeste?
It depends on my range, who I have in range, what type of dashes my opponents have. Generally, if they dash less, I will prefer damage, but if they have a lot of dashes, I will consider blocking of view, since it's a very powerful ability.
It absolutely is. We saw in the beginning of the game there, especially, I know you guys were playing a little ring around the rosy at the start with only the frontliners visible. Also tried to predict that Rash Dash when he couldn't see anybody yet, unfortunately, but still managing to cut off vision for a very strong start. Do you guys actually count out the squares in the gameplay, or is it too quick for that and you just make gut reactions?
Well, I'd say it's very easy to see where you can cut off line of sight. Especially, I always run basically only the 3 smoke bombs, so it's easy to cut off line of sight on maps or in choke points that Evo is full of. It's a bit harder on flyaway, I'd say. But I don't count squares. I can't count.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, very commanding performance. How'd you guys do in your earlier games? Were you happy with how you went with your... I think you brought in your new player for the first time, right?
Yes. We won our both matches, but one was basically domination, and second, well, we barely won it in overtime.
Oh, yeah.
That was iffy, if I say.
All right, so we'll have to remind our viewers to go watch that one. That would be 2OP's first match. You guys can go check out on YouTube.
Great. Appreciate you taking the time to let us know what you're thinking during those matches.
problem.
Is there anything you want to say to teams coming up, to players at home? Any specific plays you wanted to point out to, hey, we thought this went really well, or just anything at all you'd like to say to the viewers at home?
Play the game.
Okay.
If you're one of those first-time PAX followers that are considering the game, watching it on Twitch, pick it up. There's a free version. The full game is pay-to-play, but there is a free trial that you can play indefinitely. It's a lot of fun. And to those of you guys who are avid players, play more. Come on, get these queues up. Get some more practice for 2OP. Let's get some competition in here, right?
Yeah.
All right, well,
Since-
thanks for being with us, man.
No problem. See ya.
All right, that was Meh from Team 2OP. They had a commanding performance today, going 2-0 versus the new Team 12 Ducks. They're looking to sit